And our first story, the lack of beds has forced doctors to treat patients in plastic chairs and on the floor. It follows a directive by the health minister for doctors not to refer cases for lack of beds. Pictures of the situation shared on social media have triggered an uproar. Officials at the hospital say the latest state of affairs predisposes patients to infections. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba was at the hospital and now reports.
The surgical and medical emergency units at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital is virtually bursting at the seams as lots of patients receive their intravenous fluids on plastic chairs. Some of them have no choice but to sit on kitchen stools to receive treatment. Here at the surgical emergency units of the hospital, I met one Fatih Janat. Her child was brought here to this facility with a cardiac arrest. Later in the evening of yesterday, she was moved under the stairwell here of the hospital because there were not enough beds to accommodate her. She had no choice but to find solace on the hard concrete floor at the hospital.
Was in critical condition, cardiac problem, all the way from Kaswa in an ambulance. When we entered, in fact, there was no bed, but they didn't say so. They said they have been told not to reject anybody. So they admitted us, tried whatever to resuscitate her. But she was lying on the floor wailing. There was nothing they could do because there was no bed. I went home in the night around almost 12. My grandchild called me and said, they've been asked, all of them have been asked to come and sleep outside because other patients were being brought and there was no place for anybody to sit. We were just hanging around her. He was lying, rolling herself. Girl called me and said, they've been asked to sleep outside under a staircase. If I became too worried, somebody with a heart problem, if something happens at night, the nurses are not around. So my grandchild wept all night while the girl was wailing. Today too, you came to see her sitting on a plastic chair. You see? You have seen her condition now. It's deteriorating. See, under here, have you seen those cars there?
Yeah.
They lie them under and they're sleeping. My sister stays near. You have to bring them a foam mattress yesterday in the night for them to sleep on. You see, it's not the best.
I've been speaking to the public relations officer of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital, Mustafa Salifu. He says the directive that the hospital should treat all emergency cases has further aggravated the congestion situation here at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital. He says they have communicated to all sister clinics and hospitals not to make any referrals to this facility until they are able to deal with the congestion situation here at the surgical and medical emergency units of the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital.
You know, this is a 36-bed facility unit. But as of yesterday, the patients that we had were in excess of 60. So it means we have literally doubled the number of patients we should actually have at the SME. So that was why we had patients on chairs and some of them were even outside. This morning there was one patient, but fortunately the person has been moving because until space has been created for the person to move. So that is the situation we find ourselves in. But the moment what we are going to do, we are linking up with other hospitals to inform them not to refer. They can do telephonic consultations to give them guide on how to deal with those issues, except the dire emergencies that they will still speak to us and then we take them.
Okay,
if
so
they can do anything about that.
Have you informed them already? You are now going to tell
We are in the process. They are being called now. Now we don't come out to make public announcements.
Okay.
We have a way of reaching out to them backstage.
That's other clinics and health facilities.
Other clinics and hospitals
not
within
to
the
make
metropolis.
any referrals
not
to
to make any referrals to the Korle-Bu Surgical Medical Emergency Unit.
Okay, because of the situation that we had yesterday.
Yes, usually we want to do this for 48 hours to allow the place to decongest so that we can start receiving. But for the dire emergencies that can receive help anywhere except here, they can still fall through. But they have a way of contacting the emergency so that we deal with that. So some of the patients were outside whilst receiving treatment. But thankfully today we have been able to transfer some of the patients to the ward, and the spaces with the creators means they have all been moving now. But you still have patients sitting on chairs receiving treatment at the SME now, as I speak to you now. That is why we want to tell our sister hospitals not to refer any further. Is to give us some time to allow the place to decongest. After that, and then we will move back. But in order to...
Let's move from health to education, because 180,000 more students will be admitted under the free SHS program for the 2018-2019 academic year. Additional 8,000 teachers will be recruited to provide the services brought on by the expansion. This was announced by President Akufo-Addo when he commissioned the Major Retired Courage Kwashiga Memorial Hostel for the Keta Nursing Training College. The project, which was started in the erstwhile Kufuor administration, stalled after the change of political administration. President Akufo-Addo says the move is in fulfillment of his promise on delivery of quality education to every Guinean child. He was speaking on the first day of his 3-day tour of the Volta region.
The people of Keta received the president amid pomp and pageantry. Addressing a gathering of chiefs and people of the town, President Akufo-Addo emphasized the need to honor and recognize persons who have sacrificed for the development of the country. He also noted that in order to expand access to education, 180,000 more students will be admitted under the free SHS program. He said 80,000 teachers will be recruited to meet the demand brought on by the expansion.
Education is an extremely important matter for this government. That is why the first major commitment that we redeemed when we came into office was the free senior high school policy. It helped us last year bring 90,000 more young men and women into secondary education than the year before. This year is bringing another 180,000 young men and women into the secondary school.
The principal of the college was thankful to the president and pledged your continued support for the president. The chiefs and people appreciated the president for his kindness and installed him as Togbi Halloway of Keta.
So we encourage you today as Togbi Halloway of Keta.
The president later commissioned the completed hostel named after late Major Retired Courage Kwashiga.
Let's move to the central region now, where the MCE for Ewutu Senya East Municipality, Michael Yao Ashman Mensah, has denied reports that the assembly which houses the district magistrate court does not have a toilet facility. Yesterday, the magistrate court judge told the Chief Justice she uses a chamber pot to pee because the court does not have a washroom. The Chief Justice, who was appalled by the situation, warned of closing the court by the end of the year if nothing is done to fix the challenge.
So when they have the washroom and everything to themselves, so I can't. Oh, this is terrible. So 3 months ago, they came to create the main entrance for Nigeria. So this time, but when you are sitting,
no, because you should not be sharing facilities. We should not be sharing facilities with anybody. So for them, as well as a very prosperous municipality, they're going to have to build a purposely designed West estate. Yeah, we don't want it. We don't want it. It's not. It's not that we are not grateful. There's nothing to be grateful about for this. This is just a place. It's supposed to be a temporary place. That's the way I see it. So you have to send them. Have you sent? Nobody told me about this. This is totally unsuitable. Because when we were even entering, I was saying, why can't we have uniform buildings? The pillars are not our type of pillars or anything. So they're sending it to them, and they have up to the, okay, right now we're right in the middle of the year. Yeah. So up to the end of the year, I will close it down. In fact, you need to now give me all those who are close to the deadline I've given them. Yes. They will see so many closures of courts, they will be surprised.
But in a reaction to the report, the MCE for the area, Michael Yao Ashman Mensah, says the court has a washroom.
I am very much shocked about this information and how wide it has gone, because the judge in this district court has a separate toilet facility. We were in a rented outfit in somebody's residential facility, and it wasn't fit for use. It wasn't even good for a court. That place was so clumsy, and indeed, you realize that went to the court, the judge's office, there was no fan, there was nothing. The place was always hot. So we were also managing as a new district. So when we got after some time, I decided that no, we needed to move. And what even broke the camel's back was that the landlady of where we used to occupy brought a bill, 12,000 cedis a month to occupy that place. We're in a municipality, that's a new municipality where we have challenges with furniture, challenges with sanitation, challenges with electricity extension. I mean, a lot of challenges. And so I decided that no, we couldn't go on or continue to pay that 12,000 cedis a month. So I reasoned with management, we discussed at assembly meeting, and it was adopted that we needed to move.
Now, meanwhile, Chief Justice Sophia Kufu says the Judicial Service would be training traditional and other religious leaders on basic legal principles to handle cases. This, according to the Chief Justice, will help ease the pressure on the courts and reduce the number of years cases take in court before justice is served. The Chief Justice, who was addressing traditional authorities at Swedru after she toured the courts at Swedru, says she gets extremely depressed when cases take years before settlements are reached in Guinean courts.
We are not pleased with always hearing the delays in the adjudication of court cases. That is why we have deployed training programs for judges on case management and alternative dispute resolution.
Better case management and better use of alternative dispute resolution. Alternative dispute resolution, and no, say yes, involved in the settlement of disputes. Answer Prana about court. And one of the other programs are traditional leaders train in alternative dispute resolution.
The traditional authorities will also be included in the training on basic justice principles, so that if you should handle out of court cases, it will be done according to the law.
It can be even registered in the court. Almost, it can come to the court as a judicial decision. A judge will put a signature on it.
Now, Chief of Aguna Swedru, Nana Komna Brown, promised to use Communal Eva to support the building of a court complex that the Assembly would use.
On doing what you must do, we'll also support you fully, even if it has to be done through Communal Eva.
Let's go live to my colleague Richard Kojonyako, who is traveling with the Chief Justice Sophia Kufu. Now, she is expected to outdoor a complaints unit of the Judicial Service in Cape Coast this morning. Richard, tell us more about this complaints unit and what it will be used for.
Well, Daniel, it is a public complaint and anti-corruption campaign, as well as a gender-based court, the Chief Justice is commissioning. It is being held in one of the high court complexes, the Judicial Court Complex here in Cape. The commissioning is still on and it will end in a few minutes. The Chief Justice, Sophia Kufu, when he paid a courtesy call on the regional minister and on mine of the Oba traditional areas, the outdooring of the complaint is to help demystify the operations of the court and also enable the general public to present their grievances even after a case has been held. Also, it is to report misconduct that crop up in the judicial service system, and also has the solid objective to fight corruption, because the perception of corruption in the judiciary needs to be tackled, and if there are evidences of such corrupt acts, they will be dealt with. On the issue of the court, sharing facilities with institutions and other agencies, the Chief Justice explained that sometimes because the service does not have its own court complex, it shares the facility with people, and so people construe people as staff of the judiciary, and so they tend to peddle falsehood that the acts are being perpetrated by people of the judicial service.
Thank you very much, Richard Kojo-Nyarko, for that report. Now let's move on into some partisan politics. The newly elected national chairman of the NPP, Freddie Blay, has welcomed calls for a forensic investigation into the purchase of the 275 buses. The arrival of the buses has been met with heavy criticism, particularly by many well-meaning Ghanaians. Minority and some civil society organizations have also called for a probe by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, speaking in an interview with Joy News' Kojo Yankson, Mr. Blay said he is open to calls for investigation.
The minority now says they are going to call for investigation.
Ignore them. That's my attitude. Ignore them. I heard somebody like he. I will pardon him. He doesn't understand it. Some members of the minority party, I'm talking about NDC, I've heard them on radio, that they should also do the same thing. If some say they won't do it, but rather want to call for an investigation into where I had the means, I say, why not? Maybe they should start with a bank. Go and ask the bank. They need not announce it. They should proceed. Some even said that they have asked Martin Amedu to do that. We'll find out why Martin Amedu to do what? To investigate. Well, if you want to say that Freddie Blay have no ideas to bring to help, to get bank to help, let's investigate. But I find it a poverty of thought of some individuals. If for propaganda purposes people want to do that, look, ignore them. My only worry is that individual like Togbe Afede has come in, mentioned it. Former President John has even descended, but from a different angle.
You saw his tweet?
Togbe Afede says what? He says perception of corruption and vote buying. I'm disturbed. I find it that maybe he doesn't understand what he's talking about. In his position as president of the House of Chiefs in this country, him, maybe from nowhere he's also risen to become president, or he has become a big businessman in this country. Maybe he has never asked for loans. He got the money all from selling palm wine to get to there. Maybe I'm also sweeping street and I've had that ideas. Why not? Or he prefers only to be the only person who should do that. Vote buying. Vote buying.
Now, responding to comments made by the representative of the UK's Conservative Party, Dr. John Heywood, on the use of resources to print delegates' posters, Mr. Blay debunked the comment, saying the situations in both countries regarding politics are different, hence the use of different methods.
If you print 10,000 posters and 5,000 people are delegates, the posters will be more than the people.
But do you need 10,000 posters?
Please, I wish you were standing for an election. We have 275 constituencies. 275. It will cost a lot to print posters and banners. A few cities will do that. So if I print 20,000 posters, big posters, 3 posters, and put them all around, I want to be visible. If you say you are not in Europe, whereby you do only WhatsApps and social media, and then that's what door-to-door. We can't afford a door-to-door. They may. So maybe he got it from a wrong cultural perspective. But why not? He's a friend from a Conservative party. But don't make us believe that you want to say display of opulence. We slept in classrooms, dormitories.
Still watching Joy News today, and coming up in this bulletin, what's the relevance of the pre-wedding photo shoots to that big day you and your lover are planning to have? We'll share some views from the streets of Accra with you ahead of the Joy Beauty and Bridal Fair, which seeks to help you get answers to some of these teething issues that may crop up during your preparations for your marriage. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, apart from dealing with poor patronage of their wares on a daily basis, traders are also having to endure poor sanitary conditions at the central business districts. This is compounded by the activities of some residents of Kumasi and surrounding communities who carry garbage from their homes and dispose of them at the central business districts. The situation has become a major concern for many traders at Edum and Kejetia, who have been venting their anger to Joy News' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
Though waste management authorities have placed dustbins at vantage point to reduce refuse menace, some traders and customers still litter around.
Anytime I buy food, I could keep the waste on me until I come across a dustbin. Like my colleague said, it is how we were brought up. Even when you tell others not to dump refuse anyhow, they will begin to ask whether you are the government. I think there is the need for more education.
Known as the Garden City of the country, one will expect the impact of the name reflects in a people. But that isn't the case. Maybe, just maybe, the people themselves have refused to live up to the name.
I think some people are ignorant and some don't have dustbins at their homes, but that shouldn't be an excuse to leave that around. We say abroad looks beautiful, we watch them on TV, but do they litter around? Some people will even ignore the dustbin. They will dump refuse anyhow, but others will do the right thing. I think it is all about how we were brought up. Now that we have the dustbins, there is the need for more announcement so that people will get to know the essence of the dustbins.
Over the years, government and waste management authorities have implemented measures to curb the sanitary situation in the once beautiful city, but that have failed. Attempts to revamp some of these measures continue not to succeed. Even the sanitation day, which many people anticipated could at least change behavioral attitude of Ghanaians, have done little to that effect. From Orangi, during Kojobonsu's era, to the current Chief Executive Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Esibianchi, which has so far placed dustbins at vantage point, there is still so much to be desired. Today on Joy News Agenda, we are asking why government attempts to solve sanitation challenges has always failed to bring the needed change. Most of the dustbins placed within the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly are currently full to the brim. No attempts have been made to empty them. But the most worrying concerns traders raise are some of their colleagues carry garbage from their respective houses to the central business districts.
Some people even carry garbage from their respective homes to dump into the dustbin. When you talk about it, they say you cannot do anything to them. For me, there should be an advert on TV to educate so that the younger ones would learn from it. If the government has realized there's the need to station dustbins at vantage points to be able to manage the waste, and someone fails to make good use of it, I think they should be arrested and prosecuted.
I've heard of people bringing garbage from the house, but I've never seen one before. If I ever come across anyone, I will inform city authority.
But why would someone carry refuse to the Central Business District? A trader, Enchi Isaac, explains. There must be a problem somewhere, because why would someone carry garbage from their house to the Central Business District if we...
It's now time for business with Odilia in Tiamwa. Stay with us.
This is Kejetia Roma.